Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of your favorite program, travel program, that is about, maybe your favorite program, about Central Europe and things that are going on here in Poland. We're based in beautiful downtown Warsaw, one of the most bustling and dynamic cities, the Chicago of this part of the world. And with me in studio is the resilient and aplomb-packed Nicholas Richardson, looking resplendent as usual.
Thank you. Delighted to be here once more.
Condolences on the Prince and his
yes,
the great man.
It's very sad, both for the Queen, and it represents in many ways the end of an era and the passing of that generation.
Yeah.
Who had actually fought for freedom and fought for the values which we all seem to have forgotten, take for granted, and trash to our...
Grand figure. Much more down to earth than people. I used to thought, because I would see him in Windsor Park, great park, when I used to go there on the weekends, had a house there. And he would always wave if you waved to him when he was in his horse cart.
Well, he was in later life, he was very keen, very enthusiastic carriage.
Yeah, he was always doing it.
And he wrote the first set of rules for competitive carriage driving.
Did he?
Yeah.
No, okay. Well, he was always out there in it, very often anyway, and extremely pleasant and jovial kind of fellow. Yeah. Harold von Kursk in Estonia. Hi.
Greetings to the Richardsons.
How are you?
I'm very envious of the fact that you had a chance to actually crisscross America during your several months across the pond. So why don't you tell us about some of your most scintillating adventures stateside?
Well, it was very interesting. I got to spend a lot of time mostly in the South, but I ended the trip in fact, Chicago, a city which I'd been through in the airport, and I had driven around it a couple of times, but I had never actually been in Chicago. So I got a very nice tour, and I must say I liked Chicago.
Yeah.
It's New York without neurosis.
Exactly.
It is a much calmer New York, and boy, it grows on you. Splendid city, wonderful suburbs, ancient and new, and very nice people on the whole, I must say. Although they seem to have a massive crime problem in the wrong places, both with thievery and with killings, the murder in some of the neighborhoods. But other than that, the downtown area, the lake, I mean, we walked with my colleague, we walked up and down and went to a couple of very nice places. We went to the Cheeseburger restaurant, which is the home of the Cubs, and it's next to the newspaper district where all the journalists used to pour into it and eat their cheeseburgers, and they made the famous sketch from Saturday Night Live. So Chicago, I recommend. It was a lot of fun, and I recommend it. Just spend an extra day and go and walk in downtown Chicago, the Riverwalk, by the lake. And of course, it's the second biggest Polish city.
Yes.
I have film that we'll be showing on the program that I made in Chicago. I hope it's mildly entertaining, at least, and I think it's pretty fun. And a couple of other places that on my trip through my long drive, because I drove from the extreme south of the United States, southeast United States, down by Jacksonville. Well, because Florida dips down all the way to Miami, but Jacksonville, almost up to Michigan, to Fort Wayne, Indiana, to visit a friend, Phil Goss, who appears on our program, and then over to Chicago, on the way stopping in Asheville, North Carolina, and that was a lot of fun. And I got 3 COVID tests in the last 5 days, and the first part of my vaccine, as we were talking about in the last show. But the main thing about the United States is that it's open for to most intents and purposes in the places I was. South is open. There are some cities within the South that may be more closed. Washington, which is known as a southern city, recently voted by one of the famous magazines or polls as the worst place to live in the United States. It's still very much locked down, troops everywhere, and the mayor is just a real monster, but which is a shame because it used to be a great city to visit. At any rate, I found that things are pretty normal on the whole there. the thing that's just so bizarre is that when you're traveling, you must have these COVID shots. So it leads you to say, well, I'll just get the vaccine if I can.
Well, maybe that's part of the intention.
Yeah, I must have had, yes, probably. I may have had, I suppose, 10 COVID tests in the last 4 months. Partly for work I, was doing, just to get around, but also because it's just required for some travel or entrance in some places, So it's very, while it's open, it's more open than it is here. Because in Poland right now, restaurants are still closed.
Everything's more or less closed, yes.
Hotels are closed. All of these things are closed until the beginning of May. And not only in Poland, but in many countries in Europe. What's it like in Estonia, Harold?
The situation is improving. Since the government imposed a lockdown in mid-March, we've seen the rate of positivity decline from 22% to 8% as of this week.
Right.
And the numbers are steadily declining. So it seems that the lockdown has done its job. People now are masked up everywhere when they go inside places, which they were not observing that practice before. So people got the message that things were becoming serious, and people began respecting their obligation to their fellow citizens by masking up. And now Estonia is over its latest surge. So we expect that by mid-May, the lockdown will be lifted.
Yes, I can say, that's interesting. I can say that here's about masks. Everybody's still wearing them when they go inside. Some people are wearing them outside. It's not a requirement. Georgia, they don't require masks anymore, but people are still wearing them inside. In Indiana, people were not wearing masks outside, but inside, yes. Not everyone.
Well, wearing a mask outside is completely idiotic unless you're literally standing face to face with somebody and blowing at them.
I know.
You cannot transmit enough virus if you're outside. It's impossible.
Exactly.
I know, and all the things about surfaces and everything, which seems so bizarre.
There's no transmission. Zero.
No, of course. Zero transmission from surfaces.
All that bloody alcohol we were using to wipe off our food packages and surfaces. Waste of time.
I never did that because I thought it was stupid from the beginning, but it never made scientific sense. No. It would have been the first disease ever and the only coronavirus ever that would make you sick that way. So I never believed that, based on reading and some sensible scientists that were available at the time. But that doesn't make me smart. It just means I read because I was very curious and I didn't want to, I was afraid that that were true. That if that were true, it was very dangerous. At any rate, when I got to Chicago, and we'll end with this, when I got to Chicago, folks, everybody, not everybody, but most people were wearing masks outside. And I went up to a kiosk with my friend along the Chicago River, and as we approached it, looking for something to drink, soft drinks, or water, the two young women, and I've noticed this, young people being extremely rude, as if they have they've been given a license to be as rude as they like because of the coronavirus. They started saying, put your mask on, we're outside, put your masks on. I said, we're outside. And they said, yes, but we're in the kiosk. And I said, yes, that's true, you're in the kiosk because you were working in a kiosk because you're too dumb to understand what's going on. How do you know we haven't been vaccinated? How do you know what's going on? That we haven't just had a COVID test. Well, we care about our families. And I said, this kind of condescending rubbish, you're not going to get many customers, are you? So we just walked off. Because I am so tired of people saying these kind of, just being rude.
Well, it's a requirement here to wear masks walking down the street. It makes no sense.
Yeah.
It makes sense to wear masks.
I don't mind
indoor.
wearing the mask. We would have all they had to do was say, would you mind?
Yeah.
Just be polite. That's all. Yeah,
well, we have these armchair experts. I blame social media for giving everybody a voice, many of whom should not have a voice.
We've got to go. And then that's another subject, maybe not for the travel show, but we could chat on that one for a long time. Okay, everybody, time, as Nicholas has been saying for months, defeated by the clock. See you next time. Hey, like us on YouTube. Hit the bell and get the view from Warsaw from us and from Estonia and other places with our other guests on Poland Daily Travel. Thanks for watching.